So inside here sleeps a guitar that I have been casually interested in for quite some time. Now, obviously, it's something different than I usually do, but inside here is a guitar that kind of needs a little bit of backstory to really get a good idea as to what it really is. These guitars were made in New Hartford, Connecticut, and they were built alongside Guilds. This was Fender's, I guess, half-hearted attempt at returning to American-made acoustics. And in doing so, they were crafted by they were called Custom Shop. But what is in here is a Fender TPD-2 acoustic. And this one is really about on par with what all of them look like. They don't really have any fancy appointments to them. There's nothing specifically that says, oh man, this guitar is absolutely amazing. There's no revolutionary pieces to it. It's a basic guitar, but it is 100% made in America and is essentially a high-end Guild. Engelmann spruce top with rosewood back and sides. And these guitars really were kind of unknown. I'll tell you what, let's get out of its case and look and see what kind of case candy came along with it. Now, Fender has always had a thing where they gave you a lot more stuff, especially at the custom shop level, than what Gibson does. And Gibson does a good job, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that Fender goes above and beyond. If you buy a Fender, they'll give you all kinds of stuff that you probably will never use and realistically probably have no interest. Now, this is the company that was consigning this guitar, and it is absolutely 100%. They were good people. I can't say anything bad about them. I can honestly say they were great people to deal with. So, shout out to these guys for having this one. Look, it's even a Guild inspection. So, while this was technically a Fender, it has a Guild hang tag or inspection card or something. No matter how you look at it, look at this date, November 19th, 2013. So this guitar is just 10 and a half years old. Fender Acoustic Custom Shop. I've never seen one of those before. My. Looks like it's a product registration card. And then look at that, all the different brands that Fender owned at the time. Now, since then, Guild has been sold off to Cordoba. So Guild no longer is inside the Fender family, though Charvel and Squier and several of these other brands still are. And Jack Gretsch, while technically not owned by Fender, they do have exclusive rights to make and distribute those guitars. Check this out, though. Fender Mist and Wipe Sampler. That's kind of neat. So, and a pick guard. Did it come off the guitar? No, it's got a cover, so it's never been on the guitar. And look at this strap. Kind of makes the Gibson branded straps kind of look bland by way of comparison. Now, what all is down in here? Because this is stuff that I hadn't. Well, look at that. Another pick guard. So they had, I guess maybe that might have been something that somebody else added to this. Oh, but this I think is just a wad of, yeah, this is just a wad to protect the headstock. Anyway, look at all neat case candy though. Definitely something that's more stuff than you would normally get from the Gibson, even in the custom shop, I think. Though, haven't really ordered a whole lot of new Gibson custom stuff, so maybe have to do that sometime soon and check it out. Anyway, off to the guitar. So the story of the Fender TPD-2 is kind of a unique one. Now, I have a special following for Ren Ferguson, who used to be the Gibson Acoustic custom shop guy. He and, I can't remember the guy's name, Larry something or other. They were the guys at the Gibson Acoustic custom shop. And they would make you anything pretty much that they also wanted to make within reason. With this in mind, Ren Ferguson eventually was lured away from Gibson by Fender, and this is one of the guitars that he helped co-create. It was not his exact deal, like he was not the only one that worked on these, but he was one of the ones that was instrumental in making these. They are a Engelmann spruce top, rosewood back and sides. I closely associate these with like the Taylor 810s, and this one is in fantastic shape for a guitar that's 11 years old. The guitar itself is, there's nothing really revolutionary about the actual build quality of the guitar. It's a, if you kind of can see inside there, it does have the scalloped bracing, and it does have really good build quality, and they're good. I mean, little appointments like this, you know, abalone, I guess what that is, really give it a lot of character. The guitars, so in 1995 is when when Fender buys Guild guitars, and I forget where they were being made at the time, but they moved around 2 or 3 times by the time 2013 came around when these guitars were built. And they were being built in the new Hartford, Connecticut plant. And like I say, these guitars were kind of anomalies. They are classified technically as custom shop because they are not your normal Fender build quality, because normally Fender acoustics are built overseas, and it's been that way for 40-ish years. I mean, I have the Fender Newporter, and it's an 86 model, and it was made in Korea, I think. But those guitars, like I say, the guitars themselves have been being built across the pond over in the Pacific Rim for generations now. So in 2012 or 13, somewhere along there is when Ren Ferguson came to work for Fender, and the Guild guitars that he was working with, he really was instrumental in bringing them into a better quality build than they are. And even now, Guild's American-made acoustics are phenomenal guitars. I've owned a D40, and I must tell you, it was great. Now, that said, the guitar itself is just, this guitar is not something that you would normally think of as like Gibson acoustic level, but it really is super duper comfortable. And the build quality of them is excellent, because the fit and finish of it, even 10 years on, is just perfect. And that's something that Gibson's custom shop acoustics had, but even during the 70s and 80s, Gibson's actual like production line USA guitars, they were just not very well built. But this is a guitar, 30, 40 years removed from that era. And Fenders, these guitars, again, everybody thinks of Fender as making cheap acoustic guitars. So these guitars came in at well over $2,000. And everybody's belief was, why would I buy a $2,000+ Fender acoustic when you can go down and get a CD60 for like $199? Well, you wouldn't get this. These guitars sing in a way that those cheap guitars cannot. They are not made the same, they are not equal, they're just not. And when you strum one of these, you can pretty much tell as soon as you pick it up that it's not your normal Fender. Now, what I will say is, I am pleasantly surprised by the condition and the fact that things on this guitar have been kept as original as they are. Normally, some people would modify these guitars, put in electronics, do other stuff to them, and this one does not seem to have that. And I'm pretty stoked about that idea, because that means that this is a pristine condition that we can put up next to things that, like, for instance, the Taylor, 417 ER, the Taylor 810. The Taylor 810 is going to be really close to this one because it's got the spruce top with the rosewood back and sides, as well as the 417 that we have. That one is a modern slope shoulder, so it's a different animal, but is in the same build as this. So, like I say, I'm pretty stoked to have this guy, but we'll talk more about the history of these if we get around to it later on. But right now, how about some tones? Another fun fact about these guitars, 25.5-inch scale length. So equivalent to that of a Gibson Dove. So longer scale length than your normal like hummingbirds and Gibsons and stuff like that. So the 25.5 scale length is actually more on par with what the Epiphone Texan and the Frontier, I think, both share a 25.5-inch scale length. So these guitars have a little slinkier feeling on their actual playing, which I think makes them easier to play. So anyway, at the end of the day, this guitar is going to be put up next to several other guitars, most notably the Taylors, but also up against a couple of the Gibsons, just to show what it's capable of. It does not have any electronics, as you can see. Nothing on the top bout or anything like that. No fancy sound holes or anything like that. This is just a really good, well-made guitar, and I will probably condition this fretboard because it is very dry, and it probably could use a little bit of fret cleaning. Overall, I'm extremely happy to have this guitar. They were extremely rare. They're very much unloved. So, I'm happy to have it. It's a unique example of a guitar. If you are looking for something that plays like a Dove, but has the rosewood back and sides of things like the 810 or a Hummingbird rosewood, this really is a guitar that you might want to look at, because if you can find one, they don't go for but a fraction of what a Gibson does. And even compared to their Guild counterparts, they sell for less money. They are custom shop level guitars, built for a couple of years. I think 2013 and 2014 was their only build years. And after this, pretty much Fender decided to quit making them and focused solely on the Guild guitars. That being said, they eventually sold that to our good friends at Cordoba, and these became a relic of the past. So, looking for something unique, maybe a little something coffee house, or maybe you just want something that plays really well that you won't spend a ton of money on, I highly recommend checking the TPD-2 out. Again, you'll have to find one for sale. They're not common. They're very uncommon, actually. So, like I say, this one came to us at a pretty significantly lower price than what it was originally listed for, because nobody wanted to buy a expensive Fender Acoustic. So, anyway, like I say, check them out. Fender TPD-2, Engelmann spruce front, back and sides, 25.5-inch scale length. Until next time.